My name is Bill Plympton. I'm an independent animator. I live in New York City, in Chelsea area of New York City. I have a studio there called Plymptoon Studio. We have about 5 employees, and I've been doing independent animation for almost 30 years. And I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. When I graduated from college, I was burning to be an animator like Disney or Tex Avery or something like that. However, the animation business was very dead then. It was a bad economic situation. So I moved to New York City. I'm originally from Oregon, which is just north of California. And I moved to New York City where illustration was very big there. Lots of jobs, lots of work. So I was an illustrator for almost 20 years. And then I was able, through a film called Boomtown, to learn animation. There were no animation schools when I got out of college, so I felt like I was ignorant. I did not know how to animate. But during this film, Boomtown, they put a person on the film, Connie D'Antonio, and she showed me every step of the way to make an animated film. And so I did it for free. I got paid nothing, but the film was a good success. And so now that I had the knowledge of how to make a film, I decided to make my own film, and the name of that film was called Your Face. And much to my shock and surprise, that film became a huge success. I got nominated for an Oscar, I went to Cannes, I won prizes all over the world, and it made lots of money. So I felt that it was a good time to move from illustration and cartooning into animation. And this was the mid-'80s, when animation was really starting to come back. You had films like Akira, Roger Rabbit, Little Mermaid, The Simpsons was coming in. So all of a sudden animation was hot again. So my timing was fortuitous, I think, that I got into the animation business right at the time that this whole boom that we're now experiencing in animation, that was the beginning, the mid-'80s. If there's a common thread in my films, they are crazy humor. Also, they are drawn for adults. They're not kids' movies. I've done a few children's movies, but not very many. Also, I think you can say that my films are handmade. They're drawn pencil on paper. And that is a trademark of my style. And at my age now, I probably will not move into computer animation, simply because it's too expensive, and also it just it's not fun for me. It takes all the fun out of making my films. The look of my films is very peculiar to me and my drawing style. I mean, I was doing gag cartoons and political cartoons when I was like 20, and I developed that style, which is very fast. It's very quick, but also it's kind of impressionistic. It's kind of like a Renoir drawing where you see multiple lines to define the character. And I just sort of liked it. It just feels really comfortable to me. It's different. I don't want to look like Disney. I don't want to look like Warner Brothers. I don't want to look like Pixar. And it has a lot of imperfections. And this is something that I think is very important, because I feel that imperfections make it much more interesting to look at. Whereas a Pixar film or a Disney film, everything is perfect. There's no mistakes. I like mistakes. I like something that looks like it's drawn by hand. It's not by a machine, and it has imperfections. And that, to me, feels very warm and something that I can really get attracted to. If it's too clean and cold and perfect, I don't find it very interesting to look at. So I hope that my films are sort of like an artist you'll see in a gallery or an art museum. And that's the kind of look I want, kind of impressionistic. It's kind of blurry, it's not really well defined, and that way your brain gets sucked in there. Your brain starts putting the pieces together and visualizing the character a lot better that way. It's a lot more interesting. The process of me making my films is pretty much getting a strong, powerful idea, or an idea that I find very interesting, something that I think would be a lot of fun. Once I have that great idea, I will do a storyboard and try and work out the story. Now, at this point, if it doesn't work for me, I will abandon the project and move on to another project, because fortunately or unfortunately, I have a lot of ideas that I want to make. I have a file of lots of files of projects that I'm waiting to make. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time or money to make every film that I think is a good idea. So once I have a storyboard, and I love the storyboard, I think the idea is great, then I will start doing what's called layouts. And these are pieces of paper that show what's happening in every shot. In other words, if the dog is running across the screen, I'll do a piece of paper with the dog running across the screen. So when I start doing the animation, I know exactly the detail, what the action's going to be, what the picture will look like, and this is very helpful. Then once I have all the layouts done for a feature film, which usually about 10,000 layouts, I'm sorry, 1,000 layouts, excuse me. And then I will start animating. And I usually start right from the very beginning of the film. Page 1, image 1, beginning of the story. And I'll work my way through the film, because I like to feel the emotion of each sequence, to have the emotion build and get into the timing of the film. So generally I like to start at the beginning and work to the end. If I'm doing a feature film, it takes about a year, maybe a little longer, depending on other projects. If I'm doing a music video or a commercial or something like that, I'll have to delay the process. But usually it takes about a year and a half to do the animation. And then while I'm doing the animation, I hand it to my producer, Wendy, and she will make sure the drawings get scanned, cleaned, composited, and edited into the sequence, and colored also. They have to be colored. I generally don't do the coloring. I do that. I have a staff of people who are my colorists, usually like 3 or 4 people, and they digitally color each frame, depending on the film. If it's a dog film, I will color that myself, because that's colored pencil. But mostly it's digital coloring. And then once we get the rough cut of the film, I'll take it to an editor, one of my favorite editors, and he'll do the fine cut of the film. And we'll put in the music and the voices and the sound effects, and that's it. Well, generally I fund my own films. Occasionally I'll have people who will invest in the film. My budgets are usually about $200,000 per film. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. And for that, I can pay for that, because the money that comes in from the previous films pays for the film I'm working on now. The short films, in the US, there are traveling programs of short films, play at cinemas, local cinemas. And so usually I sell 1 or 2 of my films in those programs. Then I'll sell it for TV all over the world. Usually I do a feature film every 3 years, 2.5 years, depending. And I do 2 or 3 shorts a year. I never stop, because for me, the drawing is such a fun part of the process. And I'm always drawing. Even on this trip here, I brought my sketch pad, and I'll do drawings of, ideas and people and things like that. So it's something that keeps me excited, and I'm always discovering new styles, new techniques, new characters. So it's really like playtime. It's really like I'm just having fun all day.